Good morning. It is 7:30 on a Thursday, and you are live right here with me. My name is Preston. I think you know my name. And I'm done believing. I am moving away from simply believing the truth straight towards knowing the truth, all for the purpose of overcoming my own delusions. It's a spiritual battle, ladies and gentlemen, and it exists in your mind. Your mind is where the spiritual rubber meets the spiritual road. I don't like the way that sounds, but I do like what it says. It's where the rubber meets the road. Everybody's looking to the physical for spiritual manifestations in the physical. You're not going to find it because it's going to come through a person's mind. And when I say you're not going to find it, I just simply mean it's not going to be spectacular like in a movie. You can get involved because this is a live broadcast in the comments section, wherever you're watching. And I want to say good morning to Josh Caldwell. He has said good morning, so good morning to you, sir. Real quick, like I said, done believing, 7:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. You can check me out on Twitter. I'm live there if you're a Twitter person. There you go, at the Preston Cold. Because there's like a billion other Preston Colds. Anybody with the name Preston is very proud of their name. I don't know why. Where else? YouTube, at Preston Cold. Facebook, you're probably already on there. If you're on Facebook, please give this a like or share it or something. I have been restricted on Facebook because I made comments about the LGBTQ community. And people flagged me. And they tattletaled because they're a bunch of snitches. And so Facebook is like, oh, we're going to put your crap at the very bottom. The very bottom. Also, you can check me out on Telegram, whatever the hell that is. Please tell me how to work the app. I don't even know what Telegram is. I just saw it as an option to broadcast to. I don't even know if I have it. I've explored it. I'm still scratching my head. Maybe it's because I'm what the kids are calling a boomer, but I don't think the kids understand what that means because I know I'm not a boomer. Snitches get stitches. That's right, Josh. That's right. Yes. Listen, part of my done believing, where I came up with the little slogan, done believing, it comes from the fact that God woke me up while I was on the mission field. And the name of the video today, How to Become a Missionary, really stems back to what I learned while on the mission field. I didn't learn it before I went. I just went, and this is one of the biggest life-changing things that I learned while I was down there. I was in Nicaragua for 4 years. That's not in Africa. For those of you who are geographically illiterate, I had so many people like, oh, that's in Africa? No, it's Central America. They speak Spanish. Or as somebody once asked me, oh, you're in Nicaragua. What are the Mexicans like in Nicaragua? Yeah, for some people, anything south of the Rio Grande, all the way to the South Pole is just Mexico. I understand. Just like for anybody south of the border, anything north of the Rio Grande, all the way to the North Pole is just America. Sorry, Canada, you just kind of like the poor man's America. All right, and if that offends you, let me know. Them's fighting words. But what I really learned while on the mission field was about myself. It wasn't some deep knowledge about the kingdom of God, though it was. It was about myself. And that is, I was more obsessed with man's traditions than with God's ways. And I'll give you an example. We started the church that we planted down there started from a conversation club. Just a group of people get together who wanted to learn English. So they found me and they're like, Preston, we want to learn English. So I started a little Bible study where we would have discussion about biblical questions, just stuff like that. You didn't even have to be a Christian to come to this. So we started getting together and socializing and hanging out. It was a good time. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I was like, how am I going to grow this group of friends into the church that God has called me to plant. Then that group, it grew. And that group did other things. That group came to me and was like, hey, we want to do like homeless ministry. That's really on our hearts. Okay. So we started a homeless ministry. And in the back of my mind, how am I going to grow this ministry into the church God sent me down here to start? Then other things happened. A drug and alcohol rehabilitation was started through that group. Meanwhile, you know what was going through my mind. How am I going to change this into the church God has called me to plant? That was my vision. That was my focus. That's all I could see. Those were the goggles I was looking through. It was the darndest thing. And I didn't even see what was right in front of me. Everything that we did, I had success with. There was success. It was successful. And it grew in popularity. And I say popularity, I mean amongst the people who were in attendance. And they would invite friends and so on and so forth, including the drug rehab. They would invite their friends as well. How did I turn that into a church? I had a Sunday morning service, a traditional service with a pulpit and a worship team and offering plates and chairs arranged facing the pulpit. And the group was like, yeah, we could do a little Sunday meeting. We'll help you out there. So we got that going. And the Sunday service just struggled to have anybody attend it. The attendance was so crappy. Meanwhile, all the other things we did, they just continued to grow. The Conversation Club met on Thursday nights. It grew to like 40-something people. We outgrew the space that we were using it in. We had chairs. I mean, it was almost standing room only. This big circle of chairs, and more people kept coming. But what did I do? I was like, no, I got to keep getting these people to come over here and go to my church meeting. I was so focused on what I perceived as a church, I missed it. And when I left there, I was eaten up with, I don't know, guilt, I guess I could say. I just felt like I didn't do a good job because my Sunday morning service never really did anything other than just have a few people come in and we sang a few songs, and I did a whole bunch of preaching in Spanish, which was kind of miserable for people to listen to. I'm going to be honest. I'm a much better conversationalist than I am just preacher. And who the hell wants to just listen to somebody ramble on about what they think the Bible's trying to say anyways? I'm going to continue though. When I came back, I was defeated. I mean, in my mind, I knew we had success, but I was defeated. And it was at that point in time when God started to wake me up from the delusion of religion. And I realized, I went down there with my focus on, I got to propagate a religion, the religion of Christianity. I didn't know the first thing about actually having a meeting of saints together, having a church group, having a group of friends, and growing in relationship and community. It was the darndest thing. And that's what God really started to wake me up from. He's like, Preston, look at all this other stuff and look at your delusion. And it was my fault, but listen, man's traditions, they are delusion. If you are following man's traditions, you're delusional. And the Lord showed me, you're delusional, Preston. I grew up in church. My whole view of successful ministry was a traditional church with chairs set up a certain way, aimed at a pulpit with one person lecturing and a worship band. That's what it was on a Sunday morning. And one of the biggest things I realized, just life-changing, is why am I doing this? Why are any of us doing this? It's a tradition. And on a side note, a big struggle I had was when I left that traditional church setup on a Sunday morning. It took me a while to get the nerve to do it because I was afraid for my children. Because I'd been told, your kids need to be in church. Your kids need to be in church. But this is what God showed me. It's wrong for you to outsource the pastoral care of your children to somebody else on Sunday morning. and then give them 10% of your income and tell them to do it. You, men, you're the pastors of your family. You're the priests of your family. You're the spiritual leaders, the spiritual head over your wife. And the wife is the children's department. She's the one that is there taking care of the kids. And when your kids are older, they come to work with you, or they do something else with the father. They share life with the father. And the dad, the fathers, got to make time for our kids. That's our mission field. And to do anything other than that is just following man's tradition. And if you're following man's traditions, you are delusional. I guarantee you don't know why you're really doing it. Because when I look back at my defeat, what I saw as my defeat, what I felt as my defeat in Nicaragua, I was like, none of that worked. The only stuff that did work was the Conversation Club. All the stuff, the Conversation Club, the rehab, the homeless ministry, just going out at night. Our homeless ministry was, we went out on Saturday nights, and we knew where the people, the local hobos, homeless, lived or slept at night. We would go to them, we'd talk with them, we'd give them some coffee, we'd give them a little bit of bread, and we'd just chat with them. Maybe pray if they wanted to pray. Other than that, we just talk with them and get to know them so that they could see the light in us. Everything we did that was based off of making friends was a success. Everything I did that was based off of a tradition was a total, complete failure. And you don't believe me? Go do it. And if you think that these churches that are set up on tradition are working because they got a bunch of people coming to them, I'm telling you now, just begin to look deeper into those organizations. You'll see they're not changing lives. They're not changing lives in the way that the gospel has the ability to change a person's life. People are still struggling. You hear this all the time. You're hearing it from one side, the blacks. Oh, we still got to overcome the scourge of slavery. You're hearing it from the Christians. We're still just fighting that fight. We're just still trying to wage war against the flesh. It's done. Jesus said, it's finished. Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the earth. The sins, they're gone, guys. You're going to be judged on your capacity to receive the forgiveness of God, which means trust that you're really forgiven and stop trying to work your way into heaven. And you're going to be judged on your capacity to not only receive it, but also give it. If you don't forgive others, you can't be forgiven. And if you have any unforgiveness, meaning you don't receive it or you don't give it, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus said. It's impossible. And I was reminded of this movie. I'm going to keep going because I try to keep these to like 15 minutes. I end up doing like 20. I'm reminded of this movie I watched recently. Let me see if I got a picture of it. Silence, a Martin Scorsese film. Two men on a wild adventure to make the world be quiet. I don't know. Listen, it's about a couple of priests. These priests, they go into Japan. This is based on true events, not a true story. It's based during the time that these Jesuit priests were going into Japan to try to take the gospel there into Japan, and the persecution that the Japanese government really put onto those priests and other converts, even Christians. Josh Caldwell says, I just watched that this month. Okay, what'd you think, Josh? I'm going to tell you what I thought and what I got from it. You can stick a comment in there. Let me know, So I think it was a really good movie. It was done really well. A very interesting story. And also, I could really see myself in this movie because they all had long hair. Love it. Check that movie out. And here's what I got from it. Here's what I saw in it about myself. I see these two priests going over into Japan to try to help their one priest who was persecuted. I see these two young priests getting in over their head. They get into a situation in Japan that it's like, these guys were not prepared for this. Nobody really taught them any of this. And so the one priest, he seems weak, but he actually ends up being strong. And then the other priest who seems really strong and convicted and like he's not gonna He's never going to apostatize. He's never going to give up the faith. He ends up, I'm not going to ruin the film for you, but he ends up being the weaker of the two. And it's just a matter of he just had a delusion. He was delusional in the same way I was delusional. And what I saw was these priests, one of the priests, the one that seemed to be the stronger, his main goal was taking his religion into Japan. And he suffered for that, and people suffered for that. His main goal was not going to Japan and getting to know people and having friends. And I was thinking about it. If I knew then what I knew now when I was back in Nicaragua, what would I do different? Like if I went to Nicaragua right now, what would I do different? So I was thinking, I would have the conversation club. I would have a small group meeting and I would focus on that. Then I would do other ministry things that I enjoyed doing, maybe play some songs or have some worship or do easy things like that. Go around, visit the homeless people, talk with them. And then I would probably have a job and just kind of live down there and just live my life. And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I would do down there exactly what I'm doing right now. Right now, I have a little meeting that we get together in the park, Candy Cane Park, 6:30 on Thursdays. We have some music, we have some discussion. It's not a preach, it's a discussion, it's a fellowship. We get together like that. I do videos like this. It's a nice out to talk and share things. And also got a comment from Sybil Snyder, says, good morning to you, great to see you. I would do all the things I'm doing now. And I wouldn't be focused on a traditional Sunday morning service like I was when I was in Nicaragua. It's crazy. And like I said, in that movie, silence. That guy gets in over his head. Like, where is the more experienced preacher or priest to tell this guy, look, I see what you're doing. I appreciate your willingness to do it. Here's some advice. So here's the advice. If you've hung on this long, I'm going to wrap it up on this. How to become a missionary. This is my advice from one missionary to somebody else who has the desire to start a ministry or even pack up and move to another country, because it's not easy. You hear stories all the time. Oh, I just sold everything and we moved to another country and we just did this and blah, blah, blah. And God told us to. You're like, what? And what did that look like? How did you do it? Tell me about it. Here's my advice. Get funded for a year. You got friends, you got family, you got people you know. This is what I did. I went around to people. I told them what my plan was. And I said, could you at least commit for a year? Give me $20 a month for a year. And I got enough people together where I had the funding that I could go down there. I could move there. I could live there. I could pay rent. I could do whatever. I could eat, take care of the family. Get funded for a year. In that first year, that's number one. Number two is during that first year, observe what's going on in the area that you live in and look for a potential business that you could start. I'm telling you now, you take whatever high school knowledge you have into a developing country, it's like you're a college graduate. Because the education systems down there in any other developing country, they're not the same as our measly, pathetic public school system. Our measly, pathetic public school system is still pretty good when it comes to educating people on how to think, if you're a smart person. So this is what I would have done. I would have taken the first year, got funded so I don't got to work, and I'm going to be looking at business opportunities. Something that I tried to start down there was a bakery, because before I went down there, I had a business here. I had a baking business. I should have started a damn baking business. I tried one on a side note, but that's a whole nother ball of wax. I hate that expression, and I'm trying to overcome that expression, a ball of wax. I hate it, and it's probably why I keep saying it, because I hate it, and you're not going to overcome anything you hate. But I digress from that, and I'm going to go back to start a business. Once you've started that, once you've figured it out in the second year, maybe go back to your funders and say, hey, I need you for another year. But your goal in the second year should be getting that business rolling. For what purpose? So that you can provide for your family. That's it. Provide for your family. Stop asking other people to donate to you, to support you, to pay your airfare back and forth so that you can go around speaking engagements at churches and tell them, oh yeah, we got this going, we got that going. All you're doing when you do that is propagating a religion and a tradition. You don't have to believe me. I'm just a person who was there. I lived it. I saw it. It happens. That's what they do. On a side note, I knew a guy who got into a children's ministry because he told me kids are where the money's at. If you go back to the States and you have a slideshow of the kids that you're having Sunday school with or playing hopscotch with or giving soccer balls to, people will just get their checkbooks out and give you money, and that will propagate your ministry. It will keep you going. It'll keep you alive. And in his mind, he thought, I'm only doing this to raise money so I can do what God really wants me to do. Delusional. I don't blame him for it because he's being taught that. I was taught that. So many other missionaries, well, this is how you do it. You do this. You send out a newsletter. You get on speaking engagements. And the Lord told me when I was down there, shut up, Preston. You're not doing that. You're not going to do that. And I wrote letters to churches and I lined up speaking engagements. And at the last minute, I canceled all of them. I had 3 of them lined up. I canceled them because God told me, no, you're not doing that. You're doing something different. So even when I was delusional, the Lord was with me, beginning to wake me up. So number 1, get funded for a year. Number 2, check out business opportunities. In the second year, you should be looking to open that business. Number 3, let me back up. Where was I? Provide for your family. Number 3, employ, observe, provide for, employ people. And I saw this all the time. People, Americans especially, they'd move to a nicer neighborhood because their money went further. They would get themselves a housekeeper and a gardener. And they would think, I'm employing a local. You're not employing anybody. You're taking money that somebody gave you and you're paying to have a nice life. You're paying to have something in another country that you could never afford to have in your own damn country. It's sick. It's a delusion. I don't blame these people because they're asleep. They can't see it. Don't hire a housekeeper. Don't hire a gardener. Don't hire somebody to do your laundry for you. Actually start a business, then hire somebody. Because I'm telling you, you will have a massive influence on your employee. You're teaching them a work ethic. You're teaching them a skill. Your business grows. This person grows. They become a manager, so on and so forth. And here's the last one. Make friends. Just make friends. Have Bible studies together. Have conversations about God. Express your faith in your life, your relationship with God in conversations with your friends. That's it. You want to move, you want to be a missionary. You want to start any ministry. Get funded. I totally understand it. If you're in the States, save money so that you can fund yourself, so that you can focus on your ministry. But I'm talking specifically about people who want to pack up and move to another country. Get funded for a year. Totally legit. Second year. In the first year, get funded for a year. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it all together. Get funded for a year and observe business opportunities. Second year, start the business opportunity and employ people. Provide for your family. Number 3, I think that was employ people. Number 3, get employees. And number 4, make friends. It's that simple. Start a life down there. Start a life wherever it is you're going. Because when you leave and you got a business there, guess what? The business is, if it's thriving and making money, it's going to last. What happened to my church that I started down there? Well, once I was gone, it closed up. Now, the relationships that people made, the friendships that they made, those are still intact. I know because I still keep in touch with those people. I see them on Facebook. Between themselves, they're still friends. But the church itself is gone. It's that simple. Just start a life. And you can do it right here in America as well. Start a life, make friends. I'm going to end there. We are so over time. I will catch you tomorrow. Friday, 7:30.